Hi, everybody. DJ Yoakley with you with another special guest, and it is Coach's Corner episode 2 with the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Matt Seidel. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing well, DJ. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic now, brother. Back at it.
I
The
feel like
band's.
we were
What's
a
that?
little more formal with these last year, and now it's a little more informal. We're a little closer.
I don't know why. I don't know how
Well,
that
we'll
could
see.
be. This is episode 2, and it's brought to you by the Air Force Reserve. Make sure that if you'd like to serve your country, and just do it during the weekends, and still have kind of a life outside of serving your country. Air Force Reserve, perfect opportunity for you. And Matt, you know a whole lot about that because this is a deal that means and is near and dear to your heart, my friend.
Yeah, definitely. This was one of the first ones that I did when I came on board with YSN, and it's meant a lot. I've come from a family with a service background. I'm a big proponent for my kids. I've got several kids that are already signed up to serve their country once they're done with their high school playing days and get out there and do something that makes a world of difference for our country. And it was really cool. Last week we were in the camouflage jerseys, and Technical Sergeant Greenleaf came out and did the coin toss for us before the game, and we just put some festivities around it. And then obviously, this is a big week for service too. With the anniversary of 9/11, and I know spent some time this week reflecting on where I was during that time and the things that were going on. I was senior in high school and sitting in study hall when I realized what was going on.
See, you're already taking away my special questions at the end because you've been around here way too long, Matt, already. So
We just
just
on the same wavelength.
hold that thought. Let's talk some X's and O's, and we'll get to why 9/11 is so special to you at the end. All right.
Definitely.
Let's talk about week one. Technically, didn't have a game. Week 2, you get a big W, and there's a lot of kind of talk around this program of this could be the year with what you have on your roster. Now the roster's not huge. You don't have 50 guys. You got what, 21, 22?
21 guys. I think it grew to 22 now. We had a kid that moved into the district and showed up this week. He won't be available to play tonight, but looking forward to getting him involved. And obviously, when you have new kids come into your district, it's a breath of fresh air into a program or into a district.
So 22 kids, big time. I mean, really, you look at Warren JFK, another Division 7 team in baseball. They had 11 kids. It's
Right.
not the amount of kids; it's what happens to the kids that take care of business. However many kids are suited up and booted up, ready to go. And you're a big believer in that. You're 22 kids you'd put up against anybody.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been, at different levels during my time here at Sebring. As an assistant coach, I've seen it as high as 33, 30 on a couple of years. And I've seen it as low as, in the low teens. We tell our kids all the time, hey, they can only play 11 at a time. And at the end of the day, it's 11 on 11. You're going to be a little bit more tired, but we've got a great strength and conditioning coach that works them extremely hard through the off season and even into the season so that they're prepared for that physical challenge of being out there all the time.
A little hype machine around you guys, surrounding in week 2. A big win over Ashtabula St. John, getting things going the right way right off the jump. Then you take on a Matthews team. To me, watching them on film when I say a little, I mean a lot
Yes.
better than they were last year. Kind of caught you by surprise a little bit. And I don't want to say it caught the team by surprise, but I think they played a heck of a lot better against you than they had in probably half a year,
Yeah.
of football. So talk to me about what you saw, what went well, and what needed to be worked on.
Absolutely. Credit first and foremost to Coach Bourne and his staff because they've done a phenomenal job of turning that thing around in 1 year, to the point of where they're in the low 30s for numbers now. Their kids they look more like a unified football team when they're on the field. They do things the right way. There's a consistent kind of thought process to the way that they go about their work and the way that they do things. Obviously a letdown game for us. We were riding high after that first win of the season, going up there to Ashtabula to Spire, I guess in Geneva actually. and then coming back home to open up with the home opener. And I had told the guys all week long, hey, you're going to have a nice crowd. You're 1-0. You're coming off of a big win. You're going to have a nice size crowd. The worst thing you can do with a nice crowd is not entertain them. And I thought we came out flat. I take that completely on my shoulders. I didn't have them fired up and ready to go the way that we needed to be to take care of business in that game. So we got into practice this week, and we talked about it for a little bit. And then about Monday, we decided that we were going to take that dog out back and shoot it and not deal with it anymore, move on to the next week. And so, all of our attention has been focused on Waterloo this week, a team that does some different things from anybody that we faced so far this year, kind of employing that single wing offense look. It was strange to me because I hadn't seen it in so long. Their roster actually doesn't list a quarterback at all. They just list running backs, wing backs, and blocking backs on there. And so, it's a different kind of look. It's different challenges to be prepared for. We talked all week long to our kids about this is going to be a big week for alignment and making sure that we're assignment sound, because we weren't last week, and we're going to have to be this week. Otherwise, they're going to run all over you.
I want to take it back for just a minute. Bring that dog back out from behind the woodshed for just a moment. You and I talked on Saturday night about a special moment before that game when you got to talk to Coach Bill Bourne about kind of not just the X's and O's, but the game as it is, and how he's been around and some of the things he's seen, and just being able to pick his brain. What was that like for you as a younger coach in the area to talk to one of the area's best?
Yeah, you're talking about a guy that's got a tremendous amount of longevity in the game of football. And the places that he's been, the kids that he's seen, the players that he's coached, it's always incredible and extremely humbling for me when I get to be around some of these older coaches that have a little bit more history in the game, and just to kind of pick their brains about the way that the game has changed over the years, some of the things that they've seen that have changed over the years. And it was really cool to hear from him, stories about coaching guys like DJ Ogilvy down at United now. And when he was down in Steubenville, he actually hired Coach Reno, who's been there forever now. So to get a chance to talk to a guy like that, that's kind of been everywhere, seen everything, it was really cool to pick his brain. And, he was extremely complimentary of the work that we're doing. Told him that, I greatly appreciated it. And it obviously means a little bit more coming from a guy like that.
Yeah, it warmed my heart. I mean, a football historian like yourself, talking to a coach that was with such a huge footprint in this area, in a coaching tree, you named a few. That's unbelievable. So it was really nice to hear. I wanted to make sure that story was told. So thank you for kind of mimicking the conversation on Saturday night. All right, let's talk Waterloo. You said there's no quarterback listed. You've seen film. It's a stadium that is still coming together. The great stadium that they're building out there. Talk to me about how you get your guys. I mean, this is a chip on the shoulder game for you, obviously, coming off that tough loss. Getting your guys ready. You said that, maybe not motivated in that last game, and you're putting that on your shoulders, which all of us as leaders understand. It is what it is, right? You take the brunt of it. How do you get these guys fired up for this Waterloo game, knowing that this is another winnable game, but also if you don't execute, this is also a losable game?
So this is a really interesting one. And it's, when the MVAC was created, they wanted to have rivalry games. And so they decided that they were going to make week 4 rivalry week, the very first week of league play, and everybody was going to have a rival. And unfortunately, most of the teams, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, most of the teams that were in the MVAC already had natural rivals that they had brought with them from either the ICL or wherever they had come from. And we were the old TCL team, and so we didn't have one of those ICL rivalries. And so just based on proximity, the biggest school in the MVAC gets paired up with the smallest school in the MVAC and gets declared that, hey, you guys are rivals now, and here's a trophy to play for this game. And so it's the Hometown Hero Trophy, which is unbelievably fitting this week. It's sponsored by the Ohio National Guard. They came out, they bought the trophy, they did all kinds of stuff with the kids. So just a really cool opportunity for our guys to have a trophy game on the schedule. It's one of two that we've been able to get onto our schedule. And so we've been using that as a lot of motivation this week. In fact, on Friday night when the game was over, before I went in and talked to the kids, I went to the trophy case and got the trophy and set it in the middle of the room and said, we're going to talk a little bit about tonight, but I want our eye on that thing as long as humanly possible, because that's what it's about this week.
I love it, dude. You're a constant motivator, which is what motivates me, which is why we want to have you around so much here at YSN. Sales, good. Motivation, great.
Thank you.
Let's talk about two of your finest on this team, the Frederick twins, the guys that get a lot of the muster, a lot of the press, the clippings, whatever you want to talk about it. I want to make sure that we give them their due diligence. Yeah. There was a moment after that win that kind of went viral. Can you talk about that real quick and why that meant so much to you?
Yeah, so we preach to our kids all the time about being servant leaders. And, you know, we do some different things. Like at team dinner on Thursday nights, our captains serve the rest of the team. And it's really just putting that servant leadership mindset into them all the time. And it's about football, but it's not always about football. You know, at the end of the day, I think that it's my job to prepare these guys to be leaders in their communities once they graduate. And so we talked to them about, you know, what servant leadership looks like. And after that game, I happened to be just kind of counting the guys up at the bus and making sure we had everybody. And I realized that I was one twin short, and headed back down to the locker room to take a look and see where he was. Obviously, he had run for a bunch of yards that night, a couple of touchdowns. Had a big night defensively from his middle linebacker spot. Noah Frederick was sitting down in the locker room by himself, and I thought maybe he was just taking his time getting ready and getting back up to the bus. And when I walked around the corner, he had a broom and a dustpan that we had gone and got from the folks up there at Spire, and he was trying to clean up the locker room as best as he could because our philosophy is always that we want to leave it better than what we found it. You know, that's one of those moments in coaching where your heart grows about 3 sizes because you start to realize that, you know, maybe they do hear you sometimes.
So I had the same conversation with Coach Foster from East Palestine last night. Sometimes football and being a coach is about being more of a leader and teaching them what's right and wrong for the rest of their life. That's a great moment for you, but that has to help you with no matter what the outcome is in the standings, on the scoreboard, on a Friday night or a Saturday night or whatever night it is, you know that you're leaving a lasting impression for these young men. And you and I have talked about it. Some of these guys don't have it, you know, from a male role model perspective or boundaries or, you know, how to act in certain situations. As important as the X's and O's are, Matt, you're teaching these guys about life.
Yeah, and you know, that's a responsibility and a challenge that my coaching staff and I have always taken very seriously. You know, we pride ourselves on the fact that our kids know they can call us at any time, no matter what. We're going to be there for them. We're going to help them out of whatever they're in. You know, I always tell them, listen, you can call me at 2:00 in the morning if you get yourself into a spot or you get yourself into trouble. And I'm not going to ask you any questions, but you can bet your butt we're going to have a conversation on Monday.
All right. When I say Noah and Elijah, you always smile. I mean, it's always one of those things where you take a lot of pride in these two young men. They've been through a lot, and when they go on the football field, the gridiron, you're almost like a Papa Bear to them. You know, you comfort them. You make sure that they get – and you have stories where one says, hey, this is his night. The other one says, this is his night. What is that like for you to have unselfish players like those two to kind of set the tone for the rest of the team?
Well, it rubs off, right? The leadership of those two just kind of rubs off. And if you've ever been around Noah or Elijah, they've got this infectious just attitude about them that you just want to be around them more. They're unbelievably competitive with each other, like to a fault sometimes, to the point of where we've had to stop pairing them up on hitting drills in practice. And, you know, like I had to tell them the other day in the huddle, listen, you two don't talk to each other ever anymore. You're done. Just stop it. Because they'll argue about anything under the sun. And If one of them says that the sky's blue and the other one says the sky's gray, 5 minutes later, they're going to change positions and they'll keep on arguing. But I love the competitiveness. I love the drive. I love the focus. These are two kids that I've had the privilege of knowing since they were in about third grade. And to watch them kind of develop their personalities and develop their roles as leaders within our team has just been really special for me throughout the years, to just get a good look at the inside workings of them. And I know that they're two kids that are going to be successful no matter what they do because of how driven they are internally.
I love it, man. I can't wait till they come back with their success stories and kind of point back to you. I mean, that's always a great moment for coaches, I know, and talking to the coaches that we do on a weekly basis. And it's fun to hear, and you deserve it, man. You've really dug into this program. Obviously, being from Sebring, now coaching Sebring, it's a thing of pride for you. It's a passion of pride, and couldn't be happier for you, man. All right, let's talk about another passion of pride for you, patriotism.
Yeah.
You love the red, the white, and the blue, as we all do here at the network. You kind of alluded to it earlier, 9/11, it's going to be a special thing here this week. Do you guys have any special plans for this game?
Yeah, so we kind of did our military appreciation when we were home last week. And, we've definitely talked about it this week. I feel like it's my responsibility as a coach and as a, older male figure to these kids to explain to them, and it really hit us last year when we had our first class. It was the first time ever that you had an entire group of kids that were on a football team that none of them were alive for 9/11 when it happened. And that just blew me away because I was a senior in high school when 9/11 happened. And I remember sitting there in study hall and having the news on, and I remember the feelings, and I remember, going to church and sitting there and just, standing next to strangers and singing things like Amazing Grace and the Battle Hymn of the Republic and, just the outpouring of love. And I think all of us that were there and experienced it, no matter where you were in the country, we all miss the way that we were on 9/12. 9/11 was probably one of the darkest days in our country's history. Right up there with Pearl Harbor and other events that have happened, and the way that people treated each other the next day and the day after that and the day after that, it's something that I wish we could get back to. And we do a lot of real life talk with our kids, and we don't shy away from any subjects. And I don't ever feel like it's my position to tell them how they should feel or tell them what they should think, but it is my position to try and present them with all the facts and let them make up their mind for themselves. I'm a big proponent of kids need to be free thinkers. They need to have the ability to make up their mind and think for themselves. And I think too many times we take that ability away from them. And I want to put some of that back into them again.
I love it, man. Your patriotism shines through. It's your passion shines through, and that's one of the things I love about you most, brother. Appreciate you taking some time for us today on the Sebring Coaches Corner, brought to you by the Air Force Reserve. Matt, good luck tonight.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me.